Hi, this is Ishan. I'm from Group 8, and today we're talking about bike sharing systems. This is as part of the final presentation for MT5001 IP management. Here are our lovely team members. I'm Ishan. With me are Hussam, Yingwai, Xiang, Bowen, and Anyi. Let's jump into my sections. That's the introduction, the competitive analysis of niche markets and products, as well as innovation patterns of technology and product and life cycle stages. So, a quick introduction to bike sharing. Now, bike sharing has been in operation since the 60s in a variety of different forms. They took on recently a new form with the emergence of smartphones, wireless sensors, and payment systems, giving us modern bike sharing as we know it. And this has really been driven quite recently through an explosion of startups and funding for startups in China. One of these companies, MOBIKE, is the focus of our analysis and as part of this IP development, strategy development exercise. Just there on the photo on the right, you see that's one of the first bike sharing services in Amsterdam in 1967. And that leads me on to talking about the evolution of bike sharing systems. As mentioned, they started in Amsterdam, 1967. They took on a new form around the late 90s and early 2000s, featuring electronic locks, other chip cards, and some sort of integration with mobile payment methods as well as the internet. Recently, with the availability of real-time GPS tracking as well as wireless data, we've seen the emergence of the latest generation of bike sharing platforms, and that is particularly relevant for the case study that we're talking about here. This diagram on the next slide really just talks about how bike sharing has evolved. On the left-hand side, you see the city bikes as are available in Melbourne, for instance, and on the right-hand side, you see the typical model of a bike sharing service as it has emerged in the last 2 years. It's quite simple to use. You find a bike on your phone, you tap and scan that bike when you reach, you have your ride, and at the end you simply lock and you walk it away. It does not require any docking stations and or fixed outlets of any kind. You're free to lock it away anywhere you wish. The features of this bike sharing system are twofold. One, on the side of the mobile phone, as well as the GPS, Bluetooth, and wireless data. The other side is on the bike itself, in terms of smart sensors, such as those for the lock, as well as for the tires, as well as the QR code at the back, which controls the status of the bike, not to mention the GPS. Let's take a bit of a deep dive now into the competition, specifically the three sorts of models that are available for bike sharing worldwide. One of these is the primitive private bike rental market, as you would see on a tourist destination such as Pulau Ubin. It features one pickup and one drop-off location, a common location, and it's typically a private rental business, not managed by any central system, nor does it have centralized payment or integration of technology. The seconds are the most common in the world until the last couple of years, and these are communal bike rentals, typically administered by a government tourism board. They do not have much tech integration such as GPS, but they do feature a wireless payment or contactless payment option with multiple but fixed pickup and drop-off locations. The last, which is the focus of this study, is the recent decentralized bike sharing model, where you can pick up and drop off a bike anywhere. They're typically monitored or administered by private businesses, and there's a high level of tech integration, specifically from drivers such as the Internet of Things and wireless sensors, as well as mobile payments, booking, and tracking. This is really what we're focusing on, is the disruption that has taken place since the launch of such systems. We continue going into a bit more depth. Let's start bringing some numbers into it. Now, it's quite difficult to find relative market share for a lot of these companies, specifically the private bike rental market. And so the most accurate form we felt of estimating relative market sizes is in comparing the size of the fleets. Now, for the private bike rental market, it's difficult to obtain the accurate figures for this because it is an offline business. However, it is estimated that there are roughly 100,000 of these bikes globally offered under this model. That makes up a total of 1% of the market share. The communal bike rental business, the docked, not the dockless, the docked bike rental market, has almost 13 or 14 times this number. It's 1.3 million bikes globally. It has a very low growth rate, however, and it's primarily still in European traditional countries, traditional cities, as well as North America. And this constitutes about 10% of the global market share. Now, recently, as I mentioned, we've seen a surge in decentralized bike sharing, quote unquote, systems, and there are 12 million bikes globally, dominated by a few main players, which we'll get into in a few slides' time. Now, the investment into all of these bikes is paid for by venture capital or private equity, and it is driven, as I said, out of China predominantly. However, it's now expanding beyond to Southeast Asia, which is seeing a high level of growth. And with these 12 million bikes, we see an estimated global market share of almost 90%. And knowing some of these fleet figures, combined with some of the other reports that are out there from sites such as Forbes and Financial Times, we can work out the TAM SAM, the total, the secondary, and the share of addressable market available for each of these models. So if we look at the worldwide and we take that as the total market, we're looking at $280 million US worldwide for all bike sharing, including both the docked and dockless kind. Now in Asia, this is driven primarily through the three key players, MOBIKE, OFO, and OBike. And this constitutes about $200 million of market size today, with a compound annual growth rate of almost 91%. Now Singapore, which is roughly $8 million or 4% of this total Asian market, is also growing at a similar rate. Okay, so this is enough now with the competition. Let's now focus on MOBIKE and how it fits into this bike sharing decentralized space. So MOBIKE as a company emerged as a growing startup in 2015. It was founded by three industry experts who had a great deal of experience in the automotive industry, specifically for car sharing. So Wei Wei, the CEO, she is a communications expert, and she was previously the founder of a magazine for auto. Davis, he is the CFO. He has a previous business administration background, and he did serve as the general manager of Uber when it was still alive in Shanghai. And Joe Xia, the CTO, he's the technologist of the group, and he has previous experience in product development at Ford. Now, the company has raised an enormous amount of money to date. In just the 2 years, they've raised almost $1 billion US, and these have come from some of the largest venture capital firms around the world, including Tencent, Warburg Pincus, Vertex, and even Foxconn. They do also have a strong IP portfolio, which comprises of 63 patents. Now, to go into a little bit more depth, we chose to do a 5C analysis, the 5 C's being a way to break down a company, or rather a new market, and we're going to take the first of these 5 C's, which is the company, and we're going to analyze it using the business model canvas. Now, I won't go through each of the squares because some of them will be covered in later slides, but the key ones I want to point out here are the resources, which are naturally the bikes. The companies also do have a very high cash base. They have collected a lot of cash from their users in the form of deposits, which gives them a lot of capital to play with in terms of future investments and also maintenance costs ongoing. They also have a very strong IP portfolio together with intangible assets, and I'll touch on this in a few slides' time. The main cost drivers for this company, for MOBIKE, is the upfront cost of the fixed assets in the purchase of the bikes, as well as in the maintenance of these bikes. Now, because these bikes have a varying location, it's completely flexible as to where these bikes may be left, and that makes it difficult for a company like MOBIKE to perform preventative or even post-damage maintenance on these bikes, because there is no fixed route for collecting any damaged bike. They have to vary it both in terms of the time, the schedule, as well as the location. And the last point, which arises due to the lack of competitive differentiation, is a very large marketing expense. Now, this is, for all intents and purposes, a winner-take-all market. It is difficult for any of them to differentiate against their competitors because of a lack of competitive advantage, and at the same time, customers are also not very attached. We'll see that in the next slide. Now, going on to the last point here, which is the revenue streams. MOBIKE as a company has two primary revenue streams. The first is the easy to understand pay-per-use model. There is also the premium subscription offering, under which they charge a floating fee for some more premium services, as well as discounts on other services that are related to bike sharing. Okay, the next of the 5 C's, we're talking about customer now, and MOBIKE states that they're targeting the casual rider as their main customer segment. They're not really targeting daily users, so the typical attributes of their customers are those that are not really bothered by the quality of the bike. So gears, the lightweight frame, condition of brakes are not as critical to these customers. They're just looking for a nice, gentle ride. This does trigger some concerns about the stability of their earnings. For instance, will there be enough casual riders to sustain a profitable business? Will enough of these riders ride every week? And as I mentioned before, it also raises a few concerns about competitive advantage. If they don't care about bike-specific features, like the gears, the frames, the brakes, then how does MOBIKE differentiate against some of the other competitors? And this is where we come to that conclusion of, because it is a winner-take-all market, it'll be similar to the car-sharing wars of a few years ago between Uber and Grab, where they went out of their way spending enormous amounts of VC money in order to try and capture as many customers as possible before they switched away and got used to using one of the other services. Okay, the next one, competitors. So we've already gone through very general competitors before, but now we'll focus specifically on competitors in this emerging market space of bike sharing. And there are 2 forms of competitors that we'll look at in this study. The first are the business model competitors, and there are 2 types of these again. There are the indirect, which as I mentioned before, are the communal bike sharing, as well as the private rental market, and more so the direct competitors are Blue Gogo, MOBIKE, which is a Singaporean company, as well as OFO, who is their nearest and I suppose the largest competitor to MOBIKE. Now, looking at the IP competitors, these are companies that have a very strong IP portfolio in the space of bike sharing. And a couple of these are actually non-practicing entities, and it makes it a really interesting proposition to analyze MOBIKE from not just the perspective of a business model competitor with a strong IP portfolio, that would be OFO in 3rd place there under Beijing Bike Lock, but also from the perspective of a non-practicing entity and seeing what interesting dynamic arises if Shanghai Liangming, as one of the main competitors, is able to hold either of these companies hostage due to the enormous IP portfolio that they hold. The next C that we're looking at is the collaborator, and this is where it gets really interesting due to the recent funding round from Tencent Ventures, which, as you may know, is also the primary investor in WeChat, the #1 social media platform in China. Because of this recent funding round, we've seen MOBIKE sales surge because the access to WeChat gave them a massive channel in terms of expanding sales to Chinese customers. And it's something that we propose could also take place in overseas social media channels, as well as in shopping channels. Literally, we're talking about Facebook and Amazon here, through perhaps either a delivery sort of model, if it's together with Amazon, or just social bike sharing in conjunction with Facebook. And the last, and one of the important slides that we'll go into, the last C here, is the climate. And this is where we want to draw parallels with that taxi sharing market that happened 3 or 4 years ago with Uber, Grab, and Didi, and describe what happened there and draw parallels to just lessons learned from those taxi sharing wars. So we saw in those cases 2 years ago that a low-tech differentiation led to a large customer acquisition cost. All of these taxi sharing companies had to pay an enormous amount of money in order to acquire customers. And so it became a battle of the one with the deepest pockets or closest ties to government winning. We expect a similar situation to take place in the bike sharing wars that may go from now until who knows when. At the same time, because this is a more tech-intensive business, there are advanced sensors involved, we do expect there to be some reliance on the strength of the IP portfolio, and this could either lead in patent disputes similar to the other smartphone wars in the case of Apple and Samsung. And as a result of that, we come to the conclusion that we need both technology differentiation in order to achieve an offensive IP innovation-based strategy in terms of patent portfolio enhancement, as well as a defensive IP strategy in order to protect MOBIKE from potential litigation, both from business model competitors such as OFO and OBIKE, as well as these non-practicing entities going forward. And naturally, in order to do so, we need to better understand the IP portfolios of all the players involved and take a look at the potential impact of some of these players moving forward. I'll now pass it on to the next person.
My name is An Yi. In this section, my teammate Husam and I will go through the patent landscape for MOBIKE. First of all, I would like to briefly touch on our IP search methodology, which led to the creation of patent data sets underpinning the patent landscape we're going to introduce in the following slides. We employed all three patent databases listed here and combined the search results to generate a more comprehensive landscape analysis. In terms of searching strategy, we started with playing around with relevant keywords appearing in title, abstract, and claims. These include bike sharing, share bike, with words in the phrases combined and separated. We also searched for the same terms in Chinese. Most importantly, since our main focus in this project is a new generation, decentralized, dockless bike sharing technology, it is our intention to exclude patents filed previously for the state-owned, fixed pickup bike sharing system. Nevertheless, when we combine shared bike with stationless, or when we exclude station or dock in direct search, undesired results could not be effectively screened out. And therefore, after gathering a list of patents based on keyword searching, we have included several rounds of manual refinement to narrow the datasets to only relevant entries. Then, we proceed to rank the search results according to assignee names. It can be clearly seen that there are several major players in the IP area of the bike sharing system, and the top four assignees are: number 1, Shanghai Liangming Technology Development; number 2, Beijing MOBIKE Technology; number 3, Chengdu Step and Share Technology; and number 4, Beijing Bike Lock, or more commonly addressed as OFO bike sharing. All of the four companies are based in China, and we can infer from that the major battlefield of the IP competition has been and will be mainly in China in the coming years. We have also ranked the initial patent dataset according to application year. The result indicates another trend. IP competition in the dockless bike sharing industry is a brand new game. Due to limited time and resources for this project, our patent landscape and portfolio analysis will be limited to the top 4 IP players in the bike sharing industry as shown in this slide. In regard of the content of the base patents, we firstly ranked the results according to their IPC classification, and we found the top 6. The results might seem a bit reader unfriendly, so to put it simple, these areas cover the major parts of the current bike sharing technology. It is essentially a leasing business which adopts cashless payment and has emphasis on individual user registration, locking system, as well as system control and data processing. From here, I will hand over to my teammate Husam to talk about our categories of bike sharing technology in the patent portfolio analysis, as well as to give a more detailed analysis of the MOBIKE patent landscape. I'll see you later.
Okay, thank you, Annie. This is Hosam. I'm going to summarize you our analysis for MOBIKE patent portfolio. The first step in our analysis was sorting the patent portfolio based on the disclosed technology in each individual patent. And based on that analysis, we have identified 15 major technological clusters. Those clusters can be classified into hardware and software related technologies. Bike body, locking system, braking system are among the hardware-related disclosed technology. However, software-related technologies include bike management, parking management, payment methods, and so on. By conducting further analysis for MOBIKE patent portfolio, we managed to identify 4 key functions for the various technological aspects of each patent in MOBIKE portfolio. Those are manufacturing efficiency, which refer to the patents that come up to simplify frame design, hence the manufacturing process. Second one, component technical performance, which refer to patents that aim to enhance the technical function performance of various bicycle parts. And the third one, user experience and usability, which refer to patents that improve the overall customer experience of the sharing bike service. And the last one, market expansion, which refer to patents that try to expand market size of the sharing bike market. For example, the patent related to electrical bicycle. It is also important to note that one patent number is not restricted to one technology and one function, as it could contribute more than one technology and one function. This slide shows the technology patents map that we have generated. We can read several important notes in this map. We can see that MOBIKE patent portfolio has a scattered distribution, and MOBIKE has filed in diverse technological aspects of bike sharing system software and hardware. Also, we can see that MOBIKE dedicated more efforts and time on bike body design and structure. Bike body technological aspect occupy the largest segment of their patents with around 18 applications, followed by 10 patents for braking system design and 7 patents for each of locking method and bike management and control system. In addition to that, MOBIKE shows their interest in developing a chainless bike. Their patents record also include around 6 patents disclosing new transmission mechanism. In 2017, MOBIKE broadened their patent portfolio technological aspects through filing in new areas including parking management, steering control, and user interface. Meanwhile, they came up with additional patents to improve and protect their management and control system, locking method, braking system, as well as navigation and positioning system. It is also worth to mention that during 2016, MOBIKE has filed new patents related to electrical motor and its multifunction system. This reflects their strategy to expand their market and include the electrical bike. Finding the core patents in MOBIKE portfolio was a bit difficult as the number of patents is relatively small, and so the citation number as well as the patent family counts. However, to sort key patents for MOBIKE, we use PatentSnap database, which can identify the patent family count and citation number for each patent. Based on that, we managed to identify the following 5 patents shown in the slides. Moving to the next part on MOBIKE technology trajectory. In this part, we managed to identify the main advancement in 3 technological aspects. These 3 are locking system, bike body, and chainless transmission mechanism. For locking system, U-shaped lock design seemed to be common design for sharing bike locking system. This design has been filed in 2015, and it is already implemented in commercial sharing bikes since that date. The lock is mounted on the rear portion of bicycle frame, and once it is in lock state, the rear wheel cannot rotate. However, over the time, it has been noticed that such lock collides with wheel spokes. Also, the lock latch of this system is exposed to outside, which promotes the physical destruction and theft. To overcome these drawbacks, in 2017, MOBIKE disclosed a new intelligent locking system. This system introduces a new vehicle steering restriction mechanism, which contributes in limiting the steering rotation. Using this mechanism, we can lock and unlock the the leading bicycle steering shaft as shown in the schematic in the slide. Regarding the bike body advancement, we can notice that the frame assembly of the first generation bike body is extremely excessive. It has a lot of welding and bolting joints, and its structure is too complicated. As a result, its materials and processing cost is also high. In fact, MOBIKE dedicates significant efforts on simplifying their bike body. Several patent applications have disclosed a new simple structure design. The new design, as illustrated in the slide, is much simpler, has fewer components, has lighter weight, requires less maintenance, easy to manufacture, thus the overall production and the maintenance costs decreased. Regarding the bike transmission mechanism, the conventional bicycle chain wheel is in the market for a long time. Although the structure is simple, it has many drawbacks including of the chain, oil bleeding, and durability. To overcome those drawbacks, MOBIKE came up with chainless bevel gear for the transmission mechanism. This design reduced the number of components and hence the mechanism complexity. As a result, such mechanism minimize the overall continual maintenance, thus the operating costs and customer inconvenience. This is the end of my part. We'll go back to Anne.
From here onwards, I will continue to give an overview of MOBIKE's three major competitors' patent portfolio. The first one is Shanghai Liangming, which holds the largest number of patents among the four major players. Shanghai Liangming is a newly emerged patent owner in the IP field of bike sharing industry, with all of their patents applied in 2017, 1 published, 18 active, and 109 pending patents. Based on our technology map, the key areas of focus in Shanghai Liangming's patent portfolio are 1. Bike sharing management and control system, which has 49 patents, and 2. Client terminals and user interface, which has 26 in total, and 3. Payment methods and systems, which has 14 patents. Most of Shanghai Liangming's patents are claimed for shared vehicles in a broad term, which includes not only shared bicycles, but also shared motorcycles, shared electron-mobile, and even shared cars and autonomous cars. On top of that, the majority of their patents are for system integration. This is clearly shown in their patent drawing. Different from the plenty of bike structure design in MOBIKE's patent portfolio, Shanghai Liangming has a majority patents coming with drawings of user terminal design. Chengdu Step and Share is a company that ranked the third place based on number of patents filed. And our technology map shows that their patents are scattered and all newly applied in 2017 as well. As a result, there is no citation history or international patent document family count. But according to the number of patents in different technology categories, we managed to identify their focus, which is the design and function of different components on the bike body. Interestingly, they have filed some patents in novel technology fields such as intelligent bike body components and bicycle solar power generator, which are areas that have rarely been touched by other competitors. The last player we analyzed on is OFO bike sharing. From the technology map, we can infer that OFO has a clear focus on the design of the locking system as their main R&D direction, which contributes to more than half of the total number of patents owned by the company. Nevertheless, OFO is weak in terms of patent protection in almost all other technology fields we have identified, as compared to the rest. After constructing patent portfolio analysis for the top 4 players in the bike sharing industry, we can compare and conclude on the following discoveries for MOBIKE. First of all, MOBIKE is one of the very first company which has invested on IP back in 2015. And next, MOBIKE has a pretty all-round patent portfolio, which is reflected by scattered patent distribution in most of the technology categories. And lastly, MOBIKE has been putting in slightly more efforts on the structure and design of BikeBuddy, as reflected in their patent strategy.
Hi, my name is Bowen and I will be covering the IP valuation of MOBIKE. There are three commonly used ways of doing IP valuation: cost approach, income approach, and the market approach. For this project, cost approach is not applicable because R&D expenditure of MOBIKE remains unknown to the public and there is hardly any basis for estimation. Therefore, our group chooses income approach and market approach instead. For income approach, discounted cash flow method is used. For market approach, we will look at a comparable market transaction in bike sharing industry. Let's take a look at bike sharing industry in China as a whole. According to a 2017 industry report published by a third-party data analysis agency in China called iMedia Research Group, bike sharing is currently experiencing a big boom. From 2016 to 2017, market size of bike sharing industry is expected to grow by 735%, and the total number of users expected to increase by 646%. However, after 2017, bike sharing market is going to be saturated and growth rate will be decreasing as illustrated by the diagram. Firstly, I will conduct the income approach analysis. Since MOBIKE is a startup company founded just 2 years ago, until now it has not disclosed any financial report or information officially. As a result, we have to estimate revenue and profit of MOBIKE based on our assumptions. Firstly, regarding MOBIKE's future growth, we assume it will follow the industry growth rate. Actual user base of MOBIKE has increased from 5.25 million in 2016 to 34.3 million in 2017, which is a 653% increase. Since this number is very close to the expected industry growth rate provided by iMedia in previous diagram, we believe that it is a reasonable assumption and we could forecast MOBIKE's user base till 2019 and the total number of bikes as well. Next, we are going to estimate annual revenue earned by MOBIKE. For all MOBIKE users, they have to give 299 RMB to MOBIKE as deposit before they can enjoy the service. Hence, MOBIKE will collect huge amount of capital from users' deposit and it can be used for investment purpose. We believe that capital investment return from deposit is one of the key sources of income for MOBIKE. In 2016, MOBIKE has a total of 5.25 million users and deposit of 299 RMB is collected from each one of them. Expected market return in China is about 8% in average, so we can calculate earnings from investment return. Another source of income is riding fees whenever users ride a bike. According to statistics, MOBIKE has 0.5 million bikes in 2016. Each bike in average provides 5 rides every day, and each ride is usually below 30 minutes. MOBIKE charges 1 RMB for a ride under 30 minutes, so we can derive revenue earned from riding fees throughout the year. Finally, we add up revenue generated from both sources to obtain total revenue. Same calculation goes to the remaining years, and the results are shown in the table. After calculating revenue, we move on to estimate annual cost of MOBIKE. MOBIKE has 500,000 bikes in China by the end of 2016, and each bike cost about 1,000 RMB to produce. Hence, we can easily obtain total cost of MOBIKE production. Another major component of cost is labor. MOBIKE has in total 218 employees, and according to a survey, average pay of an employee in MOBIKE is around 5,000 RMB per month, which is equivalent to 60k RMB per year. Use number of employees multiplied by average wage of an employee, we can get labor cost. Same calculation goes to the remaining years, and the results are shown in the table. After estimating revenue and cost, we can find out how much profit that MOBIKE is expected to make every year. Then we apply the rule of thumb here. We assume 25% of the profit is contributed from its patents, and hence we can easily get the economic benefits from patents every year. In order to calculate discounted cash flow, we need to determine a discount rate. According to industry norm, discount rate for a startup company is usually between 20% to 30%. For MOBIKE, it has established strong brand name in bike sharing industry, and it is the current market leader. According to news, it has received $600 million investment from venture capitals in June 2017 and $250 million investment in February 2017 from VCs including Temasek Holdings. Therefore, for MOBIKE, risk factor when considering discount rate is not so high, and we prefer to take the value on the lower end, which is 20%. Finally, we can use formula to calculate discounted cash flow from 2016 to 2019, and the net present value, which is the sum of all discounted cash flows, is the valuation for MOBIKE's patent. Next, I will show how we use market approach to do valuation. In market approach, one way to estimate valuation is to find a comparable market transaction and then scale the transaction price according to the market share and market size of two companies. Since the bike sharing boom in China just started last year and this year, there is no acquisition or mergers happening until recently. In October 2017, which is last month, a bike sharing company named Kuqi Bike was acquired by an organization in Sichuan. The transaction price is 1 billion RMB. In 2017, Kuqi Bike has market share of 6.5%, while MOBIKE owns 49.5%, as illustrated in the diagram. After knowing two companies' respective market share, we can calculate their respective market size given that total market size for bike sharing industry in 2017 is 10.3 billion RMB. Then we can scale up MOBIKE's expected transaction price according to the ratio between two companies' market size. Finally, we apply the rule of thumb again. 25% of the value is contributed from patents, and hence we obtain an estimate for patent valuation which equals to 1.9 billion RMB. In summary, the income approach gives us a valuation of 4.2 billion RMB, while the market approach gives us a valuation of 1.9 billion RMB.
Hi, I am Wing Wai. This session reviewed the recent patent litigation cases that MOBIKE face, IP disputes. I will going to share some of the interesting facts behind the IP disputes. Lesson learned and recommendation will be discussed in the session 2. In this industry that emphasizes so much on process innovation, naturally it seems that patent is more effective than operation mode in the long term. But MOBIKE suffer infringement complaints litigation in China twice in 2017. First case that we are going to discuss, MOBIKE has been hit with a patent infringement lawsuit by an individual named as Wu Tao, who claims the bike sharing company has infringed his patented 2D dimensional recognition technology. Timing of the lawsuit filed is on April 2017 in Beijing Intellectual Property Court. So per the website from the State Intellectual Property Office, patent that infringe is the patent ending with 8299A filed in 4 years ago, 29th of June. So next slide, this is the patent information which filed in 2013, granted recently, last year, 2016. So this patent is about a lock control system for motorbike automobile owners. Idea was using camera, graph decoder, memory and two-dimensional codes to unlock an electromobile system. So the design that Hu Tao patented, aiming to allow them to unlock their bikes without a key to reduce the risk of theft. So users are actually given an exclusive two-dimensional code that they need to store on their mobile phone and will be scanned by the micro camera installed on their motorbike. Once the code matches, the bike will be unlocked. Otherwise, an alarm will be triggered. The plaintiff, a legal person named Hu Tao, is an independent individual. So he owns 91 patents all together with him. There's no evidence of his ties to certain company or organization. So he filed patent consistently throughout the last 9 years, peaked at recent 2 years. You can refer to the figure below and the current status of his patents. Some are granted, some are actually expired. Right. The interesting fact about the patent holder is that he has a very wide scope of patent filing, expanding more than 25 IPC codes in multiple different industry. Code, for example, gym equipment, clean equipment, maths equation, or even the cup for diabetes patient, etc. So I'm actually suspecting he is an individual patent troll. So this is the illustration of the flow for the patent. Users are given an exclusive two-dimensional code that they need to store on their mobile phone, and then they will match with the codes. Once the code matches, the bike will be unlocked. So this is the extracted claim from the patent. Next. So Hu Tao requested MOBIKE to, first of all, stop producing mobile lock system, the server lock system, and the apps that carrying camera. Secondly, they need them to destroy all mobile lock system. Thirdly, they demand a 500,000 RMB, which equivalent to close to 75,000 USD compensation for the infringement. So before I move to the litigation result, let me run through some interesting pictures. So this is the pictures of exactly how the litigation of MOBIKE infringement taken place. Interestingly, you can see that there is a MOBIKE seat in the middle of the court for the lock demonstration. And then it is headed by a presiding judge with 3 trial members and 1 jury. They are 1 technical investigator, 1 clerk, and 1 assistant too. So both parties, the patent infringed party and the representative, as well as the patent owner and the representative, are sitting opposite to each other. Right. So outcome of the litigation, MOBIKE wins. The court from Shanghai Intellectual Property Court judged that MOBIKE lock system on the bike is beyond the plaintiff patent scope and out of the protection range of the patent rights. In conclusion, MOBIKE does not constitute an infringement and reject the plaintiff's claim. There are few reasons. First of all, patent owner claim require all 4 components connected, interlinked in an electric mobile. So technical person actually link this to electrical connected. So it does not include Wi-Fi, cloud server, which MOBIKE uses. As mentioned in previous session, right, MOBIKE QR code also has some slight modification compared to the traditional 2D graphic codes. So for MOBIKE lock system, they does not use the technical characteristic of the QR code recognizer and graphic decoder system. It also does not have the technical features that alarm will be triggered when there is inconsistent signal. So for MOBIKE, the working principle is actually bike lock unlock will be based on the QR code scanned in the smartphone, then connect back to cloud server for calculation, ID user matching. Once matching confirmed, the lock will automatically perform lock unlock mechanism. So from principle it looks very similar, but there there are few notable differences which I summarize in the reason portion. So this is part of the full litigation court decision written in Chinese for sharing. Second litigation battle. So on March 2017, a non-bike sharing company, Ling Kaiman, sued Mobike on the smart lock system coincidentally. So it lifted administrative remedy and judicial relief for infringement of patent application to Beijing Intellectual Property Courts. So the patent that infringed is also found on December 2013. Very interestingly, both litigation cases, case study 1 and 2, are initiated by non-bike sharing companies or parties. Next. So who is Ling Kaiman? This time round, Ling Kaiman is a solution provider for RFID entry system, lock system in office building. Their patent focus in network access control technology. So it is actually a subsidiary of Shenzhen Lingyun Technology Company. Interestingly, the patent that infringed are not owned by both, but actually owned by another company that 100% owned. Okay, they name as Dalian Zhihui Technology Company. So the whole timeline is that Shenzhen Lingyun Company formed it on 2015, but the infringed file date is on 2013. Why? Because they actually use the subsidiary company patent Dalian Zhihui, which formed in 2012 and acquired by Shenzhen Lingyun in 2015, and they use their subsidiary company patent to sue the big and reputable company. So this is the whole sequence of events. On 7 March, Lingyun filed a lawsuit in Beijing IP Court. Then Lingyun filed an application on the same day to the BIPO, Beijing Municipal Intellectual Property Office, okay, to focus on another similar patent which focus on method and installation. Okay, actually the patent is filed on the same day as well. Within 2 weeks, on 22nd, Mobike filed an application for patent invalidation at SIPO, State Intellectual Property Office, with the reason lack of novelty. So this is the basic requirement for the patent to be patentable. So the application accepted on the same day of application. Re-examination is actually ongoing. Mobike action is very smart and straightforward. Their strategy is that this patent litigation, once the patent invalidate, right, the patent litigation and the plaintiff has no more ground to further pursue the patent court case, and automatically administrative enforcement will be taken away. There's no public action or any action impacting their business taken so far by Mobike. Speculation is likely Mobike may submit second patent invalidation against Lingyun patent. So this will directly enable Mobike to win the case. So far when I pursue the litigation study, there is limited bike sharing company that hit by litigation. Also, most bike are actually using smart lock system. But why Mobike sue by litigation again just this year? So according to the Shenzhen Lingyun CEO, this is due to Mobike is the largest bike sharing company. If the litigation is successful, all the rest will stop infringing the patent and potential license fee or damage can be collected. In Chinese proverb, we call it 杀一儆百. Next slide. So this slide shows the patent roadmap of the company owning the patent. It's actually surrounding the network access control technology, and this is you can refer to the Pareto of the patents. So from system point of view, this is the detailed comparison of the patent claim versus the Mobike system. Both are actually using communication terminal. Then the network access system is actually used to perform identity recognition, matching from the identity recognition device. So they enable the user to access the system without swiping a card. Door close or open request will be performed from the communication terminal. For Mobike, it's using QR codes. Then post calculation ID user matching, the bike will lock or unlock accordingly. And then the transmission method is using Bluetooth and GPS. From execution method point of view, it's very similar, but there's slight difference that I will discuss in the next slide. Next slide. The status of the litigation is still ongoing as of November 2017. There are few determination points based on the analysis. First of all, is the lock system for bike sharing part of the network access system? Secondly, will Shenzhen Lingyun patents invalidated? First question, if the answer is no, MOBIKE will win. Second question, answer is yes, MOBIKE will win. So there are a few wildcards from Lin Kaiman. For Lin Kaiman, there are a few patents surrounding network access system, including Wi-Fi, wireless, Bluetooth, scan method. For MOBIKE, there's no usage of Wi-Fi or wireless. But MOBIKE could lose if Lin Kaiman supplement additional patent on Bluetooth or scan method. Discussion, both are actually surrounding lock system. Why? Because lock is the most important and most innovative. So it consists of the highest cost among all the components. So you just can do a simple comparison with the strongest rivals OFO. So MOBIKE has the much higher manufacturing cost due to the smart lock system itself. But actually OFO need one tag for 50 bytes, but MOBIKE monitor using GPS, satellite, real-time data, which we call big data. So to win the war of bike sharing, does MOBIKE need to worry? Answer is no, because MOBIKE has the core technology with GPS, QR code, big data, and this kind of code lock has slowly become dominant design. So just look at current MOBIKE IP protection on a bike. It's strong enough on the lock. So the patent strategy that the rest of the company can only use is surrounding strategy, surrounding MOBIKE's locks. Next, this is extending to the patent map of the MOBIKE. For lock system, is smaller but actually strong. Furthermore, there is a rumors saying that it may combine or merge with Beijing bike lock OFO. So once they merge, patents portfolio will be strengthened right straight away on all aspects, including lock system. So patent map will become an addition and big portfolio. Let me pass to my team member to discuss about the patent portfolio enhancement. Thank you.
Hi, this is Shi Yang. I will be sharing on the topic of patent portfolio enhancement strategy analysis on behalf of MOBIKE. First, let us go through the patent top assignee chart again to see who is the top player in the patent competition. We have Shanghai Liangming being the number one in place with 128 patents, followed by MOBIKE, who has 63 patents in total, and Chengdu Step and Share Technology having 45 patents in the third place, and OFO with 42 patents in the fourth place. So in the real market competition, who is the leader? The market share of the bike sharing industry in China just had a big earthquake in early 2017. By the end of year 2016, OFO was still the leading company who has 51.2% of the market share. But in the first 3 months of 2017, MOBIKE overtook OFO's position and scored a market share of 56.6%, left OFO only 30% of the space. What happened in February 2017 was MOBIKE managed to put their application into WeChat as a plugin. WeChat at the moment owns more than 82% of the market share in China's instant messaging software market and is having more than 8.9 thousand million of active users worldwide. WeChat also featured with WeChat Pay as a cashless payment method, which can be used to pay MOBIKE as well. By riding on the rocket of WeChat and WeChat Pay, MOBIKE's market share dramatically increased in Q1 2017. Leaving the business aspect, back to the technical aspect. Currently, for stationless sharing bike, there is 3 most challenging technical issues that innovators are aiming to make a breakthrough with. And they are bike maintenance issue, bicycle and parking management issue, and the bicycle lock hacking issue. The most upsetting and user could ever experience with sharing bike is when you finally found a bike after a long walk. You figure out that the bicycle is broken and cannot be ride. This is what we call a bicycle maintenance issue. The major way people resolve this challenge is by creating designs related to bike body and parts, making it more robust. In terms of number of patents, Chengdu Step and Share technology wins MOBIKE by 18 versus 19. But when you look into the quality of the patents, MOBIKE's patent portfolio is considered to be the one stronger in competitiveness and quality. The fact is, MOBIKE's gear drive bicycle design eliminated the transmission train, which had significantly increased the reliability of the bicycle. Bicycle lock hacking is the problem that bothers OFO most. In order to keep the bicycle costs lower, OFO started their operation with a low-cost mechanical password lock, which means the password used to unlock the bicycle can be recorded and the user could later open the lock with the same password. To make it worse, because the lock was so poorly designed, it can be easily unlocked with some simple technique. Some video clip online has shown that with a simple technique, even a primary school student can open the lock in less than 2 minutes. This created a huge risk that underage, unregistered children can be riding their bicycles and they could not be managed by the system. In this area, OFO had 25 patents, scored number 1 in place in terms of numbers. However, their patents mainly were in imitator of MOBIKE. In other words, the quality is not there. Because the stationless sharing bike allows the user to park the bicycle anywhere at their convenience, the user then started to misuse this convenience and causing inconvenience to others. Even in Singapore, you can see many bikes were parked outside the designated parking zone, and this problem is a lot more serious in China. Apparently, none of these sharing bicycle company had come up with a good solution to resolve this problem. Shanghai Liangming, on the other hand, noticed this blank area and patented a large number of patents in related to this issue. One thing we must notice is that government, being the stakeholder, is worried about that the sharing bike might be flooding the street and causing traffic issues in the future. So we actually conducted a patent portfolio SWOT analysis on behalf of MOBIKE. MOBIKE has strong patents in bicycle body design and a wide spread of patents in other functional areas. Besides Shanghai Liangming, MOBIKE is the only company that noticed and invested in the patents of parking management. This is their strength. In terms of weakness, in bike management and parking management, the number of patents that MOBIKE holds falls far behind Shanghai Liangming. Also, MOBIKE's patent in related to user interface is not strong enough, and MOBIKE has no patent in payment method. In terms of opportunities, MOBIKE has a very good relation with Tencent. They can try cross-license with Tencent or join alliance with Tencent to secure a dominant position in patents of user interface. Also, MOBIKE has a patent on electrical motor, which can be expanded to a sharing electrical bicycle market. The threat is coming from both competitor and the stakeholder. Government urges sharing bike company to resolve the parking management issue. Fail to do that, they may lose the operation license or be facing a large fine. On the other hand, if Shanghai Liangming's patent eventually proves to be a good solution to resolve the parking issue, then they could easily change the way the game is played. From the SWOT analysis, we conclude that Strategy towards the main competitor should be as below. To OFO, because OFO has relied too much on their early business model success and failed to manage the R&D activity. So their threat level is considered to be low, but was keep on monitoring. To Chengdu Step and Share technology, they are young and innovative. Their RPV framework is very close to MOBIKE. MOBIKE should leave it alone at this point of time. If they come up with some technology jump and threat level risk too critical, MOBIKE should seek for merge or acquisition with Chengdu Step and Share technology. We saw a high level threat coming from Shanghai Liangming. They are using a flooding strategy in the direction of bike and parking management. Since they are NPE with R&D facility, seeking for cooperation with them is the best choice. But we also find both MOBIKE and Shanghai Liangming had a very close relationship with Tencent. Tencent invested in MOBIKE for 3 rounds and holds certain share of MOBIKE. And Tencent also had a project with Shanghai Liangming to create a patent portfolio in terms of instant messaging. So we suspect that Shanghai Liangming could be doing all the patent portfolio construction work on behalf of Tencent and MOBIKE. A higher level resolution strategy of patent portfolio enhancement, we suggest MOBIKE to do below things. First, extend MOBIKE's advantage in bike body design. And secondly, try to search for cooperation with Shanghai Liangming. Fund the research in develop a good solution that really resolves the bike parking management problem. Lastly but not least, looking for technology breakthrough in the area of user interface pattern. Look for similar cooperate with Facebook or WhatsApp or some other applications, like what they did with WeChat. This will help them expand their business out of China.